still lynch you, but he did, and he lasted. I think he lasted about a week and a half.
It's easy to turn our focus onto all the transfer incomings and outgoings at West Ham. We can sit here and talk about Declan Rice all day long. We can sit here and talk about Harvey Barnes all day long. And sometimes when you do that, you start to overlook what's right in front of you. And that is our youth system. And one particular player whom I believe will be able to make the step up this season, and who we're led to believe David Moyes also thinks he could make the step up to West Ham this season. Someone who could save West Ham multi-million pounds, but also create multi-million pounds depending on the model and way that West Ham want to move forward. A player that's going to have many advocates behind his back. Mark Noble and Sporting Director Tim Steinberg in the new role that he is in, of course, and David Moyes himself, let alone the fact that some of the team already rate this geezer so much, and that is Divine Mubama, who will probably be featuring a lot more in the first team for the new season. Now, some people potentially thought he could be heading out the door in a loan deal, never in a permanent deal, but maybe in a loan deal. Maybe that could tempt some other teams to do a little bit of negotiation deals with us. If you look at Southampton, you look at Leeds, you look at a couple of teams that have got players that West Ham have called a keen interest in. There's a bargaining tool there in terms of Divine Mubama, a player that could go and get some championship experience, score a lot of goals, get the experience, and then bang, there's your luck, there's your player, there he is for next season. But apparently he is held in high thoughts on the West Ham hierarchy, and there's a strong possibility that he will feature for West Ham come the new season. Now, he made his West Ham Premier League debut on Boxing Day as a late substitute during the Premier League defeat to Arsenal. And he was making a second appearance for the senior side at a competitive level, having made his full debut back in November against FCSB in the Europa Conference League, where he did score but wasn't awarded the goal. And I'm not arsed about people thinking it wasn't his goal, because they keep saying the cross did deflect off the FCSB defender to put West Ham 2-0 up in the 3-0 win, but it wasn't to be that night, and he wasn't to be awarded the goal. And then since that game, he was in hot form, scoring 11 goals in 8 appearances for the club's youth side as well. Now, listen, he is an 18-year-old, 6-foot striker, born and bred in Newham, who can also play as a deeper striker or as a left winger. He joined West Ham simply at the age of 8, but initially signed for the club as a left back. Yes, you've heard me right, a full back. However, under 12 level, he moved up for one match, scored, and he has stayed in that position since. Now, he signed his first professional contract for West Ham in October of 2021, and before the coronavirus pandemic caused the football to go under crazy stipulations, Mubama had netted a staggering, are you ready for this one? If you don't remember, 45 goals for the campaign. An impressive spell that led to his first taste of international action with England at under 15 and under 16 levels. Now, still as a schoolboy, Mubama, who went to school at St. Bonaventure's, a school my dad also went to as well, then finished as the club's top goal scorer at under 18 level in the 2021 campaign with 11 goals and 25 appearances. That included a hat-trick against Reading, coming just days after being called up at under 17 level for England, although he did not play for them. Now, Divine in the 21-22 season scored 16 goals in 21 matches for the under-18s in the under-18s Premier League South and FA Youth Cup, as well as scoring once in 5 appearances for the then under-23s in the Premier League 2, also representing England at under-18s level. Are you hearing me, what I'm building up this young player to be? Now, a couple of seasons ago, Mubama made his debut for the under-23s, now known as the under-21s, against Exeter City in the Premier League Cup, adding a late assist in the 3-2 win over that Exeter side, going in to sign his first professional contract on the 17th birthday later that month. Back in the 22-23 season, Mubama got minutes in the first team pre-season and scored for us in our 2-0 win over the Swiss side Servette. He played against Rangers that I was at, and he never struggled in that performance at all. At youth level, he struggled to open his account for the season at first, but did win his first 2 caps for the England's under-19s against Montenegro and Denmark in September in the qualifiers for the for the 2023 under-19s Euro Championships in Malta. And he was among a number of the academy players to feature for West Ham and Romania earlier that in the stages of the Europa Conference League as well. And he's been in superb form for that season. He scored twice in a 3-1 win over Wolves. 4 days later, the Premier League 2, he gave West Ham our first win of the season in the Premier League 2. Soon after that, he was in the goals again, scoring a hat-trick in a 3-0 win over Feyenoord in the Premier League International Cup, giving West Ham's under-21s the first win of the season in that competition. So he is literally relentless in front of goal. He has scored a lot of goals in that season as well, covering so many of the different age groups. The player can drop and step up to whatever age group he is asked to play. He walked away with the what did he win? He won the Mark Noble Award for Young Hammer of the Year, and rightly bloody so. The player is a genuinely ridiculous young player. He scored 29 goals in 29 games for West Ham's under-18s and under-21s as well. So that is someone who can just react to whatever the surroundings they are. He's got pace, power, he's got finishing ability in an abundance. And next season, this season coming, could be the time for him to make a real, genuine step up to the equation. And I can't see why he can't, to be honest. I think he is a player that's got so much strength, so much ability, so much confidence, and could save West Ham an absolute ridiculous amount of money. Now, when you look at our youth setup and you think, right, who are the players that are coming through? West Ham have a long lasting history of promoting players through the system. You've seen the kind of players from the under 21 start to fizzle out a little bit. But it looks like we may have found the next crop of players coming through. And why not give Mubama that opportunity? For me, I think he's ready, but who am I? I'm Anton. I'm sitting here in my living room or whatever you call this office and giving you my opinion on a young player who I think can step up for the first team. Whether or not he starts, I don't see David Moyes doing that, but I think he should feature. I think he should be a player that comes off the bench more regular than not, and in particular for performances in the League Cup and also, laterally in the Europa League as well. But what happens if we're sitting on a diamond? What happens if we are sitting on a diamond? What happens if he's ready to go? There's always been this argument about sending young players out to go and get the experience in the Championship. And I agree with that to a certain extent, but not always. Not always. I think that certain players have the ability to go into the mix from the off, and that gives them the experience that they need, because what happens if they do hit it from the off? I've said it many a times on the videos before in the past. If you look at some of the cultures and some of the countries around the world who give young players opportunities, and I think in Italy in particular, if you look at the keeper, Donnarumma, whatever you call him, who's now at PSG. I think by the time he signed for them, he had already had over 200 appearances for AC Milan, and the player was in his young 20s. So why can't these players be given the opportunity? We've been historically good at promoting youth players. Rio Ferdinand, Joe Cole, Michael Carrick, Jermaine Defoe, just to name a few. Now, more recently, Declan Rice. But for me, I genuinely think Mubama steps up. He is humble. You can see that when you see him getting interviewed. And I think that's a key element to his game, is the fact that he remains grounded. He believes he deserves where he is in football. He deserves his chance, but he's very patient in his approach. And I think he is going to be a future star for us. I said to you earlier on, he scored a certain amount of goals. He actually scored 30 goals in 40 appearances across 3 West Ham teams this season. For his age to be able to do that, to step up and be amongst some of the big players in the senior team, and then in the 21s and then the other 18s. And the player wants to play all the time. And you've got players like that that have the attitude and the work ethic. It makes everyone's job easier at the academy, at West Ham, at the staff. The coaches must be looking at him thinking, wow, this player wants to learn. younger players in the academy will probably end up looking up to Devine and taking on board the way he manages his lifestyle, because apparently, according to all the people within the club, he's got an impeccable sportsman lifestyle. And that's a massive credit to him personally, on a personal level. And I think, he will be rewarded, and he deserves to be rewarded. What do you think? Big decision for Moyes to make. Has he promoted, or will he promote Devine? Will we see him a lot in pre-season in the lead up to our new campaign? It's one player I would love to see minimum step up into the equation and get some game time. Leave your comments in. Let me know your thoughts on Divine Mbama getting promoted into the first team. And yeah, join us later on for the Hammers headlines. Come on, you Irons.